The next session is going to be a fireside chat themed ITSM 2023 Lower Costs Without Sacrificing Value. And the participants are Kapil Mehrotra, Group CTO, National Commodities Management Services Limited, and Kaushal Menghane, Business Head at Freshworks India. So stay tuned to a very insightful discussion and welcome Kapil and Kaushal.
Thank you, everyone. And my name is Kapil Marotra. I work in a company called NCML as a group CTO. Today we have a Kaushal with us. And Kaushal, I would request you, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. Thank you, Kapil. Very excited for this chat with you. Hi, my name is Kaushal Menghane. I lead the Pan-India business for ITSM at Freshworks. Freshworks is a global SaaS company, one of the market leaders in customer experience and employee experience solutions. We work with more than 60,000 companies globally and with a lot of enterprise level companies in India.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining this fireside chat today. So, Kaushal, I have a lot of questions for you. I mean, post-pandemic, a lot of dynamics got changed. So, what do you think? Because in 2023, economic slowdown is top of mind for most businesses.
Yep.
Can you tell us what you think lies ahead in terms of critical challenges for IT induced by market volatility?
Sure. Yeah. Pretty interesting and a pretty, I would say, broad topic. Because see, we all know it is definitely a very challenging market environment, and I mean there are obviously industries who are doing well. There are industries who are not doing well. But I think one of the things we've closely observed is even the industries that are doing well, they've realized one thing in the last 3 to 4 years of this pandemic and now say a global recession is they cannot be complacent or they cannot stop innovating, or they've realized that things can change anytime. There could probably be a new wave tomorrow, God forbid that happens, or something else happens. There is another war that happens between different blocks. Anything can change, and they what they can not do is stop innovating, but at the same time be very conscious about what they spend on. And I think when you look at this reality or this business reality, the role of IT actually takes a lot of center stage. Okay, broadly two focus areas for IT: prioritizing tech investments that are directly related to that or that directly bring in impact to either revenue growth, profitability, all these positive indicators to business, and at the same time constantly be on the lookout for things that are not being used or not deriving value, right? Also, to sort of substantiate that, you would have, I'm sure, in your organization also, and even as part of a solution provider organization, what I personally and my team has been observing is historically we've seen decision making very decentralized. The moment an organization starts scaling, they start wielding a lot of control to different pockets of the organization, and that's how they bring in change at scale. But with a lot of scrutiny, and there is a lot of discipline in terms of where you spend and how much you spend, I think the decision makings are A, becoming very participatory, and B, also becoming very centralized, right? So even for, say, a $50,000 purchase of a large organization, you would see a CFO coming into the picture, not just for negotiation. They would also be involved in discussions around why is this project even important. Okay, and that is why IT is often caught up in justifying value, adoption, cost for a lot of these initiatives. right? So I think that's been some of my observations of the last few years.
Right, absolutely right. Because if you see I like to give you my organization example, wherein like I can clearly see CFO wants to be a part of, all the whole discussions, conversation, what we are doing since inception, negotiation as well. I mean, it's a very interesting scenario wherein like he wanted to keep the check of it, like how much licenses we are buying, what is the overall project cost, and why we are buying additional licenses, right? And why don't we do the optimization, right? Uh,
Mm.
in fact, like he sometimes want to know what is the source of information and how we are basically arrived on this decision where we are buying the licenses or buying the software or buying anything. I mean, it's a very interesting. So what you said, like it's a post-pandemic and especially in the 2023, time is totally changed because CFO is going to be the part of the whole conversation, and they also want to know not only that they want to basically part of the engagement, they want to know what exactly and how we are spending on the purchases.
Yeah.
Right. So I totally agree, and this is a very different dynamics what we are learning now these days. And but I have another question which is related to the very interesting scenario wherein how do you think organization can learn into ITISM,
Mm.
especially during time like now, to help keep us all on the steady ground?
Correct, correct. No, no, I think very, very valid question and very close to my heart over the last 1.5 years that I've been with Freshworks. I think so. I was very, very new to this space. I've never dealt in IT service management. I was always on the other side in terms of probably using a tool or a mechanism to interact with different departments of an organization, whether it is IT or HR, all of that. And what really makes me curious is to observe why there is so much talk around ITSM. So I think I'll break it into two parts. I'll first focus on sharing my perspectives on why we believe organizations are laying a lot of importance on ITSM today, IT service management today. Why is it even important? And then when they're now starting on this journey of either reimagining or plugging in the gaps, what are some of the things that they can keep in mind? So on why it is important, why IT service is important, like three things that I would want to highlight is, first of all, the nature of workplace has completely changed. It's no longer always work from office, or going, even if you have an office in place, going to the office every day. Companies today are hiring for roles in India probably from Australia, because there is the boundaries of the global boundaries are really blurred, and people, as long as there are ways in place to make people work, and there is a job cut out for them, if there are ways to monitor it, I think companies are very, very open to hybrid workplace, or having people work from anywhere. Right? It's also one of the ways in which employees are getting attracted to companies. They're prioritizing companies which gives them this flexibility. Right? So I think when you have this kind of a changed reality, I think the only way in which your employees will be engaged or will continue to interact with you as an organization, right, across department, is through a robust and a unified service management. I mean, that's the only way for organizations to ensure uninterrupted service delivery.
Yeah, totally agree. And what you are saying is absolutely right because collaboration is a key, actually.
Correct.
In fact, like post pandemic, so many organizations still working on, remotely. And uh, that is causing a lot of, attrition and the resignation. The great resignation is coming because of that, because people doesn't want to come and join this kind of, culture because culture has been changed. They don't want to basically spend time on a travel, spend time on a other engagement in the office as well. But office one, they should come. There comes in my view also, and I totally sync with you what you said. Uh, ITISM plays a very major role. Let's take example of a HR where let's say somebody needs a payroll and he's working from home and some other information or he has a query, so he can log in a ticket and he can basically get a lot of details there, right? So there must be several categories and he can basically log in ticket and respective department can take care of it. Not only that, because the best point which is coming in mind, speed of delivery. Because I mean, the way you want responses
Yeah.
and your query has to go to the right person, then you can expect the right responses at right time.
Correct.
I think that's where like these kind of tools coming in and they are helping and they can make all these things possible as per your expectation. Because in India, touch and feel and go and catch kind of mentality is there. So in case you are working remotely, doesn't matter. You can get a very speedy response and everything on time.
Correct, correct. Yeah, speed of delivery is extremely important today because, like we know that business environment is really challenging. Even the leader in the market or the leader of the pack has to continuously innovate, and they have to make sure because speed of delivery has a direct impact on how much you are ensuring your employees are on. They are up all the time, and if there is a downtime in terms of they don't have access to something or they don't have the right resources, it directly impacts their response to market. Now, whether
True.
it is launching a new product today, tomorrow, or say ensuring that they're able to support your customers effectively, all those things take a hit. Also, I think another key thing or another key reason why I think it's taking a service management is taking a center stage is I think over the last 6 months or a year, I think we've seen moving from say an environment where employees were really steering the show and there was a lot of backlog hiring to now the teams being right size and IT is also fairly impacted, right?
True.
And there is a lot of pressure and onus on IT to be able to do more with less. So they cannot afford. So that is why there is a lot of focus on automation because they want to ensure that their teams, whether they are administrators or the frontline guys, are only focusing on the complex things and not things that can be actually done through automation.
Correct. And in fact, you rightly mentioned, Kaushal, my next question is related to the automation because uh, so many things people expect like we can automate. But one of the question coming in my mind is what feature of ITISM do you think will benefit organization to realize rapid time to value and keep the business always on? So what is your view on that?
Now, I think there are some of the, I'll again bucket this into multiple categories. First of all, what we are seeing is a very siloed environment in terms of how service delivery or service management is structured in organizations. Today, the way service management is structured is it's very much from the department's lens. So there will be a separate IT help desk, there is a separate HR help desk, there will be a separate finance, admin, all those help desks, right? Now, the problem with that situation is you have consumers now who, in the last 2 to 3 years, have so much been sort of habituated, or it's second order nature to them that they want the way they interact with brands as consumers, right? Or the life they have after the work life is very, very simple. So they're very, very used to that kind of a simpler engagement, whether it is to probably spin up a Netflix subscription or raise an issue or probably interact with a chatbot on where is my order on Zomato, why is the order late, or probably asking for a refund or a exchange or something like a Myntra. That they have a tendency to expect a very, very simpler. Now, when they are now back to work life or now with this behavior, they start expecting a similar workplace technology also with their employers, right? So having to remember and adopt multiple mechanisms to interact with different pockets of the organization is something that is not acceptable to them. And at Freshworks, we did a research on specifically workplace technology and the impact of that on attrition and engagement of employees. And this directly has a correlation to that. Secondly, in terms of things like historically, IT service management has been working in a sort of a triage model where there is a collector of issues, dispatcher of issues, and then it is being handled by. Now, with so much advent on AI, all this actually can be automated, because what you're now doing with, on one hand, you have limited teams, you have resource crunch, and when you have such repetitive things which can easily be automated, you're impacting your service delivery. It is because it is human driven, it is prone to errors. B, it is also impacting your time to delivery. So your employee on the other hand, or your partner or your distributed partner on the other, somewhere sitting in a depot, is waiting for a resource to be available, or say access to be available, or something to be available, and it directly impacts customer response or market response. Okay, so I think a lot of automation in terms of what should go to where, right? And also what can be automated. Today, as consumers, we are we give priority to how quickly we can get information or can resolve an issue. And we are very okay to not wait for an email response and not wait for the guy on the IVR to be available. Even in a company environment, we are very okay to probably look up an article on how to do it. We are the digital savvy generation, and also probably interact with a AI driven chatbot to be able to get that information. I think that definitely can be automated. The third thing that I would like to highlight is, and this is particularly something that we have now increasingly seeing with a lot of large organizations, is meet your employees where they're already spending time. Okay, or meet your employees on channels of communication which they're anyways using. Okay, so for example, a lot of companies today, for the collaboration thing that you also mentioned, are deploying technologies like Teams, chat, or other forms of office communication solution. Can your IT service management be available over there? Secondly, as consumers, all the time, we are spending a lot of time, say in India, and it could be different in APAC and other places, on channels like WhatsApp. Today, we have requirements coming to us. Can you allow my person in the factory or employee working out of anywhere? He may be on the move, he may be a sales guy and he needs something. Can you allow him to raise a service request or an incident or an issue through WhatsApp? Right? So I think those are some of the things that can be automated, and those are some of the things where we're seeing a lot of focus from companies when they're now trying to reimagine their IT service delivery.
And I totally agree, because so many things are in a requirement. I mean, new innovations are coming, like as you rightly mentioned, WhatsApp and all. So automation is a key now, but along with that, another aspect what I anticipate is policy. Policies are very important. Whenever we talk for automation, so we have to see what all the organization policies are there. First of all, we should also have, and we need such kind of tool where we can configure these policies so that like everyone can have access easily and design the automation within that framework. I think, are you agree with me?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So now my next question, which is very different. What do you think are some ways of improve ITISM outcome during economic headwinds?
Sure. Cool. So I think one, and I will again link it back to what has been some of the major learnings for companies over the last few years, and which is nothing is constant. Things will keep on changing, and it's only um, it's only relevant for companies to align themselves to this reality and make sure they have mechanisms in place to ensure that they are able to change things or they are able to introduce changes when the business dynamics change, right? And to that, I would say that specifically on IT service management, there is a lot of today when we go through evaluation cycles with mid to large scale enterprises. I think all solution providers are fairly competitive in terms of the feature sets, right? Where I think we differentiate, or where some of the other players also differentiate, is in terms of uh, our platform's capability on a low code, no code architecture, where we are able to make things very, very democratic in terms of how quickly these changes can be introduced in the market. So you may be wanting to change a lot of business processes tomorrow, and that obviously has to be supported by technology. Are you, and that may be a change which you want to bring to life very, very quickly. Does your workplace technology or tools like IT service management allow you to be dependent on a third party or a vendor or some experts, like really skilled experts, to be able to bring those changes? Or is your solution simple enough to allow you to make those changes from the front end? So I think that's something which is going to be very, very critical. Secondly, I think in terms of initially also saying say value, right? I think typically, and that's also where I would say we take great pride in how we do it at Freshworks, is we have been able to move very, very large service desks of some of the major conglomerates in the country in months, literally months. Like in 2 to 3 months, we've been able to move very, very large service desks of companies. And the reason why we have been able to do that is lies in the way in which we've really architected the solution. So again, comes back to the point on how much you can achieve through configurations or through changing from the front end. And that is why we are able to show very, very rapid time to value to companies. I think that's going to be really important in how you choose the right technology, because you're not choosing it only for what you need today. You also you want your technologies to be prepared and agile enough to let you make those changes in future.
Absolutely agree. And mm, because low code and no code now these days picking up like anything is. And I am keep hearing a new word, new buzzword is speed of flow. As like we talked about speed of delivery, similarly, speed of flow, how fast you can enable a flow so that your business can be on floor, and fresh work and such kind of tool can help them to basically acquire the knowledge, collaboration, and the policy flows, so that like we can have better control, we can have dashboard in front of us, and we can manage. So I would say like for the better agility, these tools are playing very major role, and everyone has to basically look once definitely. And another point, what I want to bring in after our conversation, that is reduction in cost,
Yeah,
because your CFOs and your management is directly keeping an eye what is your spend and how you're spending it. Because bringing technology may be easy, right? But controlling spendings over on that, it should not be look like a white elephant we bought it,
absolutely, absolutely.
right? And another last point I wanted to bring in, uh, because whenever we are bringing such kind of tool where you can collaborate, you can manage, and you can basically create a lot of workflows, no code, low code. So another question comes in mind: how secure are they?
Correct.
And what I feel is, what in my experience is, because such tools are very, secure, because they always give you a lot of controls so that your definitely security will improve. Because your information is not going here and there. Your
Mm.
information is going to straight away to the workflow, and workflow is attached and associated with the respective stakeholders. So your information is going.
Correct.
So
So I
that's
think,
what is my thought process is. You like to add anything?
yeah, no, I think security is paramount, and I think, and that's one of the premise on which adoption of cloud or adoption of hosted environments is also being accepted by some of the most regulated industries like a banking or a financial services, insurance, healthcare, where there is a lot of sensitive data that's going out of your organization, right? And I think at Freshworks we're very cognizant of this, and the reason why we have been able to work with some of the large financial services and other such regulated industries is because we have made sure that we have all these compliances, whether it is a ISO or a SOC 2 or a PCI, all these compliances in place, which makes our solutions ready from an InfoSec standpoint to be accepted by these industries.
Right. And that's a very relevant point you bring in, where I have undergone recently some of the audits and the compliances, where the first requirement was, uh, is your processes are in place, is your documents are in place. I
Correct.
mean, there these tools are basically playing 100% role actually. If
Correct.
these ITSM is in place, so you can basically easily get the compliances certification.
No, absolutely. I think that's
Right. So with this, like, it's a very interesting conversation what we are doing it, but paucity of time, like, I'm running out my all the questions, and I will take a pause here. And it was lovely conversation with you, Kaushal.
likewise, Kapil. Really enjoyed this chat with you, and thank you very
Right.
much for your time as well.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you, Kapil and Kaushal, for that highly engaging and relevant chat.